Back in the day, I got a comment on my TikTok being like, you look like you support a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. I was like, I'm a cat. That was my apolitical era back in 2023. I needed to like process a lot of things and like see all of like these systemic issues that are the root cause for like transphobia, misogyny, racism, and so on. For me to like actually engage with politics on that level and be more outspoken about it. Back then, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I was like terrified of touching it. I saw a post and I thought it was kind of interesting and I wanted to talk about it because it's kind of fascinating. So I saw this. The way I see it, Bin represents themselves, Bin is non-binary, as the voice of leftists in VTubing, just to then use that position to run defense for right-wingers to maintain their allegiances, which I think is kind of interesting. This account that proudly, you know, names themselves blocked by Pippa on 11 accounts, which is like a Chronicle Online level that I will never understand. VTubing overturn window. So we see on the right side, the fascists. So we got Netanyahu, Trump, and Putin, which is, you know, part of the VTubing overturn window, I guess. And we have characters like File and Groomer Nux Taku. Then we got Kirche. There's a demographic replacement happening because a Muslim community is building a mosque in London. And Rev says Dezu, who has been harassing me for a real long time and is now scared to even mention me. Then we got conservative neoliberals, including the French VTuber who got bullied out of French VTubing because, you know, she's pushing a lot of like Nazi stuff with like a Discord server that got deleted for having a channel called The Gas Chamber, which is insane. Shy Lily, which I don't know, like Pippa, Fillion, Centrea, and Rima, which, you know, like I think it's like kind of interesting. And then progressive neoliberals, including the woke Sephira Denoma, Bint and Anna Valence, but also me. The do you mean progressive neoliberals? How fucking dare you? And then they put themselves under communists, anarchists, anti-fascists. And it reads to me as like, everybody is stupid except for me because I know the truth. I know what is actually happening, but like, I am anti-fascism and I'm, you know, a socialist. I do not like capitalism. How dare you call me a liberal? Like, what the fuck, Zoom, for calling you a neoliberal, right? Like, progressive neoliberals, you know, like the entire ideology is incredibly contradictory because it's like, oh yeah, I support gay people being married, but I also benefit from the status quo that is exploiting all of like the systemic issues that is happening because of like the patriarchy and social injustices. Absolutely wild to put me into that category. What the fuck is wrong with you? I also don't know what fruit is in there. I don't think I would call anyone neoliberal. Absolutely wild. And I saw that this is like part of like a much bigger thread. So Bind recently announced that they are stepping away from, you know, public space and so on due to like mental health issues. Also, Doki is a trashy astroturf scammer. And Sayu is far-right garbage. Kenny spent the past month crying about, I don't know who these people are. I have no idea who these people are. Let me look for what was said about me. If I recall correctly, I got bored when I made this. There's actually some stuff to explain about it. Basically, it's about how progressive neoliberals, aka white liberals, refuse to associate with the far left. What the f do you mean? What the f do you mean I don't associate with the far left? I am the far left. Maybe if you're like showing how you were blocked by this one content creator 11 times, maybe people just don't want to associate with you and it has nothing to do with you being a communist. Maybe that's it. You need to collab with Hassan. No. He would probably be considered a progressive neoliberal as well then. He is like, what is he? performative, no, champagne socialist. That is what they call him. Yeah, he's a grifter. Don't forget about that. Okay, basically it's about how progressive neoliberals refuse to associate with the far left, but will engage with the far right to get them to move a bit to the left, not realizing that in the process they move the overtone window to the right, centering conservative neoliberals and accepting the far right in the conversation. Like when Yara collabs with Leaflet or Mama Oko, or how those people will make up excuses for why it's okay for conservative neoliberals to collab with people on the far right. I feel like people will never like move on from the fact that I had a debate with Leaflet that was, you know, not that great. I thought that maybe if we address the fundamental misunderstandings, then there's going to be like some acceptance and it's going to like shift further and further to the left. But that was obviously wrong, because there's an incentive for conservatives to stay stupid and you know, be firm in their belief, because like taking in new information is actually seen as a weakness, you know, character development is seen as a weakness. Oh my god, that's why it was actually, you know, not that great. And I also don't really like when liberals, you know, have like their debates and collabs about like my rights to exist, because it's just like, you know, rich people talking to other rich people about like how my existence is actually up for debate. That kind of feels crazy to like use that as a reasoning to label me a liberal when like capitalism is, you know, a shitty system that needs to be abolished, and it's causing so many systemic issues, and I have addressed this numerous times. I support social democracy as a means, but those people actually want capitalism to stay permanently, so the far left is not a viable political association for them. What do you mean? I don't want capitalism. It's a shitty system that like makes the rich even richer, and it's always prone to be exploited by the elite. The do you mean? What fever dream kind of like reasoning is that? Unlike conservative neoliberals who will only accept them if they accept the far right. This is not a new thing. This happens again and again. Yeah, my Fox VTuber girl actually is a capitalist supporter because, you know, she talks to Leaflet. Grow up. Like, goddamn. I feel like, you know, you should have gotten the memo after, like, you know, getting blocked, you know, maybe 3 times by Pippa and not make your entire personality around that. But I also saw this. It's extremely depressing seeing that you even have your social platform dedicated to being blocked by a VTuber multiple times and feel like it's a badge of honor to have someone do their best not to associate with you. Like, that's so sad. Bro's collecting all of the blocks. Blocked by me, blocked by Kirsch, blocked by Pippa, blocked by Rev. Safera, Bin, Mythic Talent has blocked you. Off Guy has blocked you. This has nothing to do with you being, you know, a anti-fascist. This has something to do with you being annoying, I think. But yeah, don't dare call me a liberal. That's worse than a slur. You can call me literally anything you want. Do not call me a liberal. How dare you? Back then, Pink News tweeted, Democrat says trans sports ban solves nothing but gaining political points. I was like, trans people have been saying that since day one. Stacey K was like, so has every Democrat. This is just him restating the party line. Imagine being a trans woman who is like demanding unconditional support for like a Democratic Party that is throwing trans people under the bus and other marginalized groups under the bus. Has like historically speaking done that every single time because like, you know, liberals wanting to uphold the status quo and benefiting from it and not actually fixing systemic issues. It's like you have a 2-party system in the US that drifts further and further to the right that is being paid by the same like mega corpos because like you need so and so much money in order to like have like a seat in like the House, Senate and whatnot, right? You gotta raise constant money, so you're like creating a system that like relies on the lobby. And then people are like, well, these people in positions of power are just, you know, they're the lesser of 2 evils, but they're still not addressing fundamentally like big issues.
That should be a new redeem calling neoliberal.
Don't you fucking dare. I used to have like an apolitical era actually. Back in the day. Like this is 2023. I got a comment on my TikTok being like, you look like you support a two-state solution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. I was like, I'm a cat. That was my apolitical era back in 2023. I've gotten way more like outspoken and vocal in the year 2025. I needed to like process a lot of things and like see all of like these systemic issues that are the root cause for like transphobia, misogyny, racism, and so on. For me to like actually engage with politics on that level and be more outspoken about it. Back then, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. I was like terrified of touching it. I didn't want people to, you know, like talk about like communism, capitalism, and you know, like fascism and so on. Like in my chat, I actually had rules against it. Same when it comes to religion. I didn't want to have people talk about religion and so on. I was just, you know, I was just being a silly creator and, you know, talking about being trans and so on. And I have gotten way more outspoken. I still have a lot to learn. I still have to catch up on a lot of things. But like, I never touched politics. I was like, too afraid. But I think that like if you're trans and you're going through transitioning and so on, it is incredibly difficult for you to like stay out of politics or like not engage with the subject matter at all. And I think it's actually a privilege to consider yourself apolitical. I also think that a lot of people who consider themselves like as centrists and so on are actually just like right-wingers in disguise, because I've never seen like someone say that they're centrist and then it turns out that they are like a communist or like they are like a socialist. So I saw this tweet being like, the left are proud to be called leftist, the far right are ashamed to be called the far right. Kind of says it all. Yeah, like if you call like MAGA people, you know, the far right, or like, you know, compare them to Nazis and so on, they're going to crash out. It's always so fascinating to me because like people on the left, they're going to like tell you their opinions. Probably also because like people who consider themselves like centrists, they are internalizing a lot of like the far right talking points, and they are not critically engaging with the subject matter, not educating themselves at all. And then they're looking at like leftists talking about like their views, and then it's like, well, you know, like I don't agree with that, but like, you know, the people on the far right, like, you know, I'm just like, I'm seeing both sides of the coin, and like everyone is like doing the bad thing, but it's just because they don't educate themselves on the subject matter. They don't understand a lot of like the systemic issues that are going on. And so they consider themselves as like centrists, even though they are just like, you know, bigoted. And in order to be a leftist, you have to understand the subject matter. I have never seen someone who is like, yeah, I was always a leftist. It's rare that people who, you know, don't have like education in like the in like these subjects, who didn't like self-educate, who aren't like growing up in a diverse and educated environment, that they are actually, you know, having these leftist views. It's rare. I saw this in the replies. You're far left. Yes. You're far right. No, I only post fascist memes. Ironically, I'm actually very economically liberal and believe in freedom. I'm just fed up with progressive wokes, and I want my taxes to be used for F-16 fighter jets, not schools and hospitals. Also, trans people, am I right? Everyone should be able to like be themselves and have like freedom of like expression and so on, except for trans people, because like that makes my PP very confused actually. That was my crash out about being called a liberal. I hope you enjoyed that. I wanted to talk about that because, you know, I thought it was kind of interesting. Like, I don't like labels, right? Because, like, if you label yourself, then a lot of people are going to use that as an opportunity to, like, you know, attack you or dismiss you and so on. But, like, you know, calling me a liberal who are, like, upholding a capitalistic system that is causing so many systemic issues that I have been outspoken against for a really long time, it's kind of insulting, not gonna lie. We all know Nyara as a fascist, right? Nyara wants people who misgender trans people to face consequences for that, so that actually limits people's free speech, and that is worse than fascism, actually, and you're the Nazis. How is a B&D planned? Are there explanations where they classified the other VTubers like they did? No. Only for Bint. Gotta call Anna a neoliberal in her next stream? Yeah, go call Anna a progressive neoliberal. I can't believe this worker is a progressive neoliberal. I thought Yara was a fanboy, a British fanboy wannabe, yes.